Castlevania Nocturne is getting review bombed, and here's why. So, Castlevania, a really good animated series on Netflix. It's actually surprising because it's probably one of the very few things that Netflix has ever done that's good by the way of video game adaptation. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I liken this show to like a Game of Thrones, but with like Todd McFarlane Spawn kind of animation. It's like Game of Thrones with vampires. It's beautifully animated. It's dark. It's voice acted to perfection. Also, the late Lance Riddick lended his voice acting chops in this series. May he rest in peace. It's adult themed and gory. It's just really damn good. But the new one is bad. According to Rotten Tomatoes audience score, it's 47% bad, which means we shouldn't watch it, right? So, let's find out what they have to say. Alright, so there's gonna be a bit of a different thing that we're doing here. So I wanted to find out what these people had to say that reviewed it so terribly. So let's take a look. Wish I could give this 0 stars because it ruined a good story just to force an agenda. Yep. Yep, that's exactly what it did. That's what it did. Biggest problem in the show right now is Annette. She embodies all the worst personality traits a person can have, which makes her very annoying. The show should almost be called Annettovania, with special guest appearance by Richter Belmont. The writing was very bad. Characters just happened to be in the right places at the right time when they had no reason to be there. Okay, I can kind of get behind that. I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but you're right. The constant use of profanity in weird moments didn't help either. There was no use of profanity at any point in time in the entire series where it was at a weird moment. The main villain is poorly introduced. I don't understand how the main villain is poorly introduced. But okay, most of the season is spent on characters praising the villain only for the villain themselves to do the very same thing. Additionally, the voice acting isn't great. Many times the tone doesn't match the emotion on screen, the art style, and this is the most asinine review I've ever read in my entire life. I'm losing brain cells trying to read this shit. The characters often act like teenagers, and they are teenagers. What are you talking about? But forced diversity like LaQuisha and the Messiah of the Vampires and a full focus on slavery, even when vampires enslave humans. Using black and French fights for freedom as comparison has nothing to do with the Belmonts and their friends in each generation stopping the resurrection of Dracula in Dracula's castle. What? What happens to the world since the last Siri? How did the Belmont legacy evolve? It's time passed. Time happened. They needed to handhold you through the whole thing and show you all the story beats and tell you what happened. Time happens. It's happening right now. By example, if they really wanted to talk about slavery, why not made Annette a collateral victim of Isaac's previous raids over the world? What the f are you talking about, McRose V? They warped the fantastic original story to force an unnecessary woke agenda down the viewer's throat. They not only went out of their way to make the church corrupted. What are you talking about? Did you watch the first series? The church was corrupted in the first series too. This is clearly a review from somebody who just didn't even watch any of the Castlevania series at all. Evil and delusional, but also gay. The writers really gave themselves a pat in the back for this one. Oh, God. Yeah, I just hate.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go take my throne, because I'm a shoo-in for Hate of the Year.
There's a haterade all over this, bro, like for no reason too, man. Maybe the worst voice casting I've heard in a long time. Is he supposed to be 12? He's a teenager. If they want to force a story that doesn't align with the current plot, why not just write a new story? it's a new story. That's what they did. Oh shit. I don't even want to read any more of these. The makers of the show didn't play the games and didn't even bother to read the Wikipedia of the games. This has nothing to do with Castlevania. It's called like that because it's Dracula Castle on Transylvania, and the show can't get that right by setting them in France and not with a single castle. This is mad about castles. He just wants castles. He just wants the castles in Castlevania. There's no castles. There's not enough castles in Castlevania. It's just castles. It's castles fighting. There's a castle here. There's a castle here, and Castlevania. And sometimes they turn into vampires. And castle vampires blow up. And
Castlevania.
The show follows none of the source material and shouldn't even be called Castlevania. It's awful and an insult to the fans of the games. There's not a single castle though. He's mad about the single cat. There's no castles in it. He wanted more castles. Just put more castles in it next time, Netflix. There's more castles, and you got a show. It's really disgusting to read some of these reviews. It really is, because it goes on for so long. All of these 1 stars and half stars. Literally most of them are just like that. They're just like, hey, you know, it's a diversity grab. It's a this. It's a that. It's not consistent with the story of Castlevania, and it's just it doesn't make any sense. I did like the original Castlevania. And this being a new story, right, I didn't know what to expect. So I went into it with an open mind. And I said, hey, let's give it a shot. And to my surprise, I enjoyed it very much. And here's why. As somebody who classifies himself as an Afro-Latino, I took a very different experience away from the show. And I wanted to share that with you guys, okay? Some brief spoilers here. There's your warning in case you don't want to go any further. If you want to go into the show blind for yourself and you just want to experience it, here's your warning. Some very brief spoilers, okay? Turn this off now. Go watch the show. Come back to this right here, this time slot right here on this review, and then let's have a discussion. Okay, so for the rest of you, let's get on with what I think. First of all, the fact that one of the main characters in the show is a Caribbean runaway slave that uses her power of Santeria to fight vampires. Not only that, she freed herself from being a slave to a vampire is awesome. On the religious side, most often in mainstream media, Santeria is portrayed as voodoo or witchcraft. It's because most of you don't understand it. And that's okay. That's fine. Okay? You don't understand it. It's okay not to understand something. And you probably only ever heard of it from that one Sublime song. You know the song. I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball. That one. That song. If you didn't know, Santeria is a religion that African slaves and those who practice it in the Caribbean use to hide their beliefs behind Catholicism and Christianity. The religion is based a lot in spiritualism and old practices that some may deem as barbaric. However, there is truth behind it, and many of the orishas, or deities, within this religion are direct reflections of people in the Bible. The more you know. The simple fact that the writers took the time to accurately and beautifully portray this within the character of Annette means someone did their research, and I'm so happy that they did. Secondly, for people to say that this show is written poorly, did we watch the same show? Like, honestly, did we watch the same show? Each character involved gets ample time to air out their backstories in Nocturne. Some of those characters overlap, like Annette and Edouard. The story is engaging and provides just enough information to make you feel invested in each character on an emotional level as they go through this journey. It also, in terms of the story, doesn't really divulge too much, because as the story progresses and you keep watching the show and you keep going through the episodes, more things get revealed that add way more context to why each character's story is important. It also adds significant weight as to all of the reasons, whether they were purposeful or, you know, by accident, on why they even banded together in the first place. And that reason is fairly simple. They each have a past trauma that binds them to fight for what they believe in. This is explored masterfully in the show. To write an anime off as being too crass because of curse words, I mean, come the f on, man. Seriously. It's an adult-themed animated cartoon, guys. Yeah, I agree that some of it can be cringe, but the curse words that are used in any situation by any of the characters never feels out of place. There is one scene in the show where one of, you know, the night creatures, those demon-looking things, comes and tries to attack Richter and, you know, his people, right? And they're in the house, and as I'm watching it, right, I literally say, "What the f is that thing?" And literally moments later, Richter says the exact same thing that I say verbatim. What the f are you? It just makes sense, right? It's a natural reaction to whatever the f that thing is. Thirdly, the antagonists. I mean, look at Allrox. Just look at him, okay? He's an Aztec vampire that turns into a damn dragon. As the story unfolds, you start to get the, you know, the inkling, or you start to realize that he, as a character, as a villain, is a deeply conflicted character. And things aren't as black and white as what the show introduces to you right from the jump. Show starts, and within a few frames, Allrox kills Richter's mother. I swear to God, yo, if you say this is a spoiler and you get mad about the fact that I said this, like, it literally happens within the first 2 minutes of the show. Like, it happens, okay? Right from jump, it happens. It's one of the first scenes. It is the first scene in the show. But the purpose of that scene is to introduce conflict between Richter and Allrox. And it's also to get you, you know, you as the audience, to think like, oh, this the big bad dude that we're gonna fight at the end. He's the big bad guy. He's the bad guy right there's the bad guy. Right? That's what it's supposed to make you think. I mean, why would you not think that, right? Like, he kills his mom. You automatically think that this dude's a big dick. But that's the beautiful thing about this show, okay? This is really the beautiful thing about this show, is that his personal story is far from that. When you start to listen to what he has to say and understand his backstory and hear what he says to other side characters, you start to realize that it is way more complicated than you'd think. And even though he's a vampire, that makes him feel so much more human as an antagonist. He actually feels justified and purposeful. His story in the entire show is by far the most intriguing. Freaking Drolta Suentes is just so badass. She's just so badass from the moment she comes on screen. Ultimate badass, like, from the minute. And she's sexy. She's hot. I'd let her suck my blood. Shit. When you see her on screen, she just owns every single scene. From the voice acting, to her brooding demeanor, to how she kind of like toys with anyone she comes into contact with. She's just really damn sexy. In conclusion, I love this show. And to those reviewers who are bombing the show claiming it's to portray an agenda, you really have no grasp on what the real world is. This is real. There's so much in Castlevania Nocturne that anyone from any background can get behind. So what? It's not true to Castlevania lore. Who cares? It's a video game. It's a video game. It's a game. Okay, it's a video game. Okay? Also, you gotta understand too, like, most times, you know, stories from video games don't translate well to other forms of media. They just don't. I think it's really important to give, you know, creative freedom for someone to take an IP and make something dope from it. You have to give them that creative freedom. You have to give them like some sort of leeway to be able to toy around with the IP, to make and take risks, right? And to create something new from something that probably they love so much, and weave a fantastic story from something that is just a phenomenal IP. Look, I don't know anything about Castlevania. I know nothing about Castlevania. Okay, I've never played any of the games. I do know that it's a massive game. There's several of those games. And I know little snippets here and there of like certain parts of the lore. But me, I'm not a diehard Castlevania fan. Okay? And I just think it's important to give people who are animators, people who are showrunners, who build these types of shows from video game IPs. I mean, how many video game IPs have been sold and like we just got like just terrible adaptations of it, right? Really terrible adaptations of it. This is not a terrible adaptation. By any means is it a terrible adaptation. It's actually really good. And honestly, if you can't see that Nocturne is an animated masterpiece, I don't even know what to say. I mean, look at this damn fire. Just the fire itself. It looks real. I paused the damn screen just looking at the scene for so long because this looked real, okay? It's a testament to the stylistic detail the animators have achieved. It's a testament to the writers taking risks in storytelling. And it's just dope. And if you like this kind of thing and you need something spooky to watch for October, please give this a watch. I guarantee you will like this. For somebody who's like me. I loved it. I think you will too. But what I think. What do you think? I want to know. Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate everything you do. If you like this, please like, share, and subscribe. Any engagement helps. And as always, my friends, peace, and much love. I'll catch you on the next one.